Welcome back, dear friends, to another exciting episode of Exploring the Advent of Divine Justice. We are on part 20, and without any further ado, we'll have our opening prayer. Thank you so much.
All praise, my God, be to thee, who art the source of all glory and majesty, of greatness and honor, of sovereignty and dominion, of loftiness and grace, of awe and power. Whomsoever thou willest, thou causest to draw nigh into the most great ocean, and on whomsoever thou desirest, thou conferrest the honor of recognizing thy most ancient name. Of all in heaven and on earth, none can withstand the operation of thy sovereign will. From all eternity thou didst rule the entire creation, and thou wilt continue forevermore to exercise thy dominion over all created things. There is none other God but thee, the Almighty, the most exalted, the all-powerful, the all-wise. Illumine, O Lord, the faces of thy servants, that they may behold thee, and cleanse their hearts, that they may turn into the court of thy heavenly favors, and recognize him who is the manifestation of thyself and the dayspring of thine essence. Verily, thou art the Lord of all worlds. There is no God but thee, the unconstrained, the all-subduing. Baha'u'llah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Miss Donna. Okay, dear friends, let us get back into our study. So, dear friends, we, as I mentioned, are on part 20. Here we are. We were covering the paragraphs 87 through 94, okay? And as mentioned, as we were studying and read these, summary points, gird up the loins of our endeavor, right? And then this entire paragraphs 88 through 94 talk about the erection of the framework of the administrative order. So what is the erection of this framework of the administrative order? It is these nascent institutions, the local spiritual assemblies, coming into being and crystallizing. So this is the framework of the administrative order. And then the maturation also of the national spiritual assemblies of the countries. So this is the framework of envisioned by, and where did all this administrative order come from? Came from the will and testament of Abdul Baha, right? And so this is all part of the plan that has been proclaimed by His Holiness Baha'u'llah in the Kitab Aqdas, and then proclaimed by Abdul Baha in the Will and Testament of Abdul Baha, and then promulgated by the beloved guardian in the world order letters in dispensation of Baha'u'llah, and then orchestrated and by the beloved guardian and brought into being through all of his letters and injunctions. So this is what we covered in our last session. So the first paragraph that we covered, paragraph 87, this is this paragraph that we're all still talking about the same common theme of the second part of the first 7-year plan, to go win the goals, right? And what goals are these? These goals are to go out to Central America, South America, right? And go pioneer, to go teach, to go forth, to go arise. And I love the first words here. Let some at this very moment gird up the loins of their endeavor, right? Get up, go. And as mentioned in that visual picture that I sent to the class, girding up the loins is preparing yourself. First, you have to prepare yourself. You have to tie up your loins, tie them up, and then go into the battle, right? So gird up the loins means prepare yourself. And we're going to go into this section about what does the beloved guardian say we have to do to prepare ourselves. We've already seen so much about this preparation there in the first half of the Advent of Divine Justice, namely this rectitude of conduct, this chaste and holy life, this freedom from racial prejudices. And then all of those have elements within them, right? We studied those 7 qualities in rectitude of conduct. There was 5 qualities in chaste and holy life. And then all the qualities within freedom from racial prejudices, right? Let the whites do this and let the blacks do that, right? So those are the qualities that they have to do to conquer racial prejudices. And they have to make a supreme effort. They have to make a tremendous effort, right? So this is the effort that is required for those spiritual prerequisites for success in all teaching plans. So if you want to have success in the teaching plans as American Baha'is, what you got to do is you got to work on those, right? And then the beloved guardian, paragraph 65, and he then goes further. He says, okay, now you've done this. Okay, say hypothetically you've done this, rectitude of conduct, chaste and holy life, and freedom from racial prejudices. So he takes a breather, summarizes the whole thing in paragraph 65. Then right after that, he says, okay, now let's start preparing for the teaching plans. What do you got to do? He then starts outlaying systematically what we have to do to prepare for teaching. Namely, we have to educate ourselves. First and foremost, we have to study deeply the writings, right? We have to study deeply the history, the tenets, the fundamental proofs. We have to study Islam and the Quran, and from unbiased sources, right? This is what it says, so that we can vindicate the truths of Islam. Then the beloved guardian outlines all of these things. And as he is doing this, he also is saying, you got to not just study it and bring it up here. It has to be translated here and then come out of here. So it goes in, it becomes part of you. And this teaching doesn't just stay up here. It penetrates the heart and then it comes out of here. So it's the utterance, it's the teaching work, because this whole great text, the Advent of Divine Justice, is about teaching. And teaching is the promulgation of his name, Baha'u'llah, in this day and age, right? So when you promulgate his name, that has power because it's the creative word. So that was a long explanation, but I wanted you to get a feel of where we are at this point in the text. And this girding up this loins is the preparation, right, dear friends? The preparation work that we have to go and do. Okay? And we're going to get much more into it. Then, and this is all part of paragraph 87, right? And says, let their souls be aglow with this flame of the undying fire, right? Souls aglow. Our hearts should be burning. I love these extracts, these quotes. Let them unloose their tongues. Let them proclaim that which the most great spirit will inspire. Let them wholly, for the sake of God, proclaim. This is the attitude. So we go forth and open our mouths. Then in paragraphs 88 through 94, I'm just jumping over them as we've covered these in our last set class. This is about the raising of these institutions, namely the local spiritual assemblies, okay, in the virgin territories. So let us just hop across these points. Last time we read the first one, so let us now go back over this. So this sure is obviously directed at pioneers, but it doesn't mean it's just pioneers. It's anyone, let me be clear, anyone that is going to teach the cause. And that should be every single Baha'i. Every single Baha'i should classify themselves as a teacher of the cause. That should be their goal. That should be their motivating purpose. Their dominating passion should be a teacher of the cause of God. So those who intend to pioneer should place their whole trust in God. First, put your trust in Him. They should first do what? Teach themselves. First and foremost, this is in the Gleanings from the Writings of Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah says, first and foremost, teach yourself, right? And the teaching is not just here, right? The teaching is here also. Training of the character. Training of the character is teaching, so working. And how is training of character happen? Remember part 10 at the end of it? Ruse bear ruse. Cam, ruse bear ruse, right? Little bit by little, day by day. So we train our characters. Training is teaching, right? We're training our characters. That is teaching themselves first. So we become a vehicle for the advancement of the cause. So this is teach themselves first. But that doesn't mean, oh, I'm not trained, I can't teach. So I'm not all the way trained, so I can't teach the cause. But it means that you're also teaching the cause. But first, we need to prepare ourselves, right? Regard the triumph of the faith as their supreme objective. This should be your ultimate goal, your focus, the triumph of the faith. And this is so important, dear friends. In paragraph 87, the beloved guardian literally is hitting home every single fear, every single excuse that anyone could ever say. Oh, I don't have the capacity. Oh, I don't know enough. I don't know. Any excuse that someone may not go into the field. So this is another excuse. So the beloved guardian says, do not consider the largeness or smallness of the hearer's capacity. Okay? So he says, don't worry about the capacity of the individual. And he's also referencing, do not worry about your own capacities, that you may not have the abilities and capacities to go and do that. You follow? And then he says, remember that their love of Baha'u'llah will act as a storehouse of treasure for their souls. The love of Baha'u'llah will act as a storehouse of treasure for their souls. Isn't that beautiful? So that love will be a storehouse of love. And be as unrestrained as the wind. And we've heard this on quote now twice in Advent to Divine Justice. Twice. Isn't that interesting? It's come back again. The Guardian references it. And so these are the qualities. Now, we've highlighted so many times the qualities of Abdul Baha. And for reference, paragraph 52, paragraph 58 are the paragraphs that are the qualities of Abdul Baha that are highlighted in reference to the racial justice. But then these are the qualities of Abdul Baha in reference to teaching. And who do you think Abdul Baha was teaching? It was also the people that he was trying to reach, namely the individuals that all were around him. And when he was in his travels, then namely, it was everyone. And so what are these qualities? Enthusiasm, conviction, wisdom, courtesy. So these are the qualities that but without, this is so important, but without pressing their hearer. That's also obviously hard sometimes. We have to know are we pressing the hearer or not? So we also need to know when to, per se, zip it. And be a good listener, because Abdul Baha was a great listener. So we have to be able to know when to stop and hear the other person. And we should teach the cause for the sake of our Lord, for the sake of God, for the sake of His Holiness Baha'u'llah. Teach out of our love for Him. This whole cause is a gift to us. That's why it's called the gift of teaching. It is a gift, a supreme gift to us. And this aspect of teaching is a supreme gift of love, that we may magnify His name and proclaim His name. And so this is a gift from Baha'u'llah, that we every day have an opportunity to say how great He is. We have the greatest Lord. We have the greatest gift by knowing Baha'u'llah in this day and age. So we have that opportunity. And the saddest of all things is if we have this opportunity, we fail to do that opportunity. You follow? And so this is our gift. And we should remember that the faithful spirit will strengthen them. And so this is, I'm going to talk much more about what this faithful spirit is, coming up. And keep in mind the greatness of the blessing that is waiting for them. So I remember my oldest daughter, her name is Ella. She said, Daddy, I was teaching her about the importance of teaching the cause. And she's 6 years old, right? And so it's not an easy concept in that sense, but I wanted to, explain that when you teach the cause of God, the concourse on high, all the souls that have gone before will rush to your aid and help you. She was like, Daddy, this is amazing. And I was like, and I was like, yes, this is she was like, why don't all the Baha'is do it? I mean, if they're all just waiting to come and help us, why hold back? Why hold back? If they're just sitting and watching and waiting and ready for the Baha'is to open their mouth when the world is in such a bad condition, the Baha'is need to go and do it, right? And I was like, yes, Ella, we have to go do it. And she was like, Daddy, if they're all just sitting and waiting, aren't they getting bored if we're not doing it? And I was like, yes, Ella, they might be getting bored. So I was like, so we got to get up and do it, right? Because they're waiting and they're watching their time, their watches, and we're saying, are these Baha'is going to get up and do it? And the reality is, if we're not doing it, the world is every day getting worse. And we're going to see all the quotes coming up in part 23, I believe. And it is one of the hardest parts I've ever put together, is part 23, because it's all the prophecies of Baha'u'llah in the Advent of Divine Justice in that part. And the beloved guardian outlines very systematically all the problems that we are seeing actually in this day, and every day will get worse. And this is all well versed in the writings. And we have a lot of work to do. So let us get through this part today, okay? So the other half of this section, so 88 through 94, the beloved guardian talks about the erection of the framework of the administrative order, namely the local spiritual assemblies. He says that in this period of time, the number of local spiritual assemblies was increased from 14 to 37 during this 2-year gap between the first and second 7-year plan. So this was the raising of the capacities, the raising of the numerical numbers of local spiritual assemblies. And later on, the 10-year crusade achieved the goal of forming the national spiritual assemblies in each of those 20 Latin, not Lane, American republics. So this was one of the goals that was outlined in the second part of the first 7-year plan, and that was achieved during the 10-year crusade. So getting into what girding up the loins of this endeavor. So in paragraphs 87 through 89, the beloved guardian draws on a number of quotations, right, from Baha'u'llah and His Holiness Abdu'l-Baha that would empower and encourage those who arise to pioneer to virgin territories to teach the cause. Remember, dear friends, one of the many, many, many roles and functions that the beloved guardian had was master encourager. So the beloved guardian, in all of his letters, he was always so supremely encouraging. And what was he encouraging? He was encouraging action. He was encouraging effort. He was encouraging arise. He was encouraging love of Baha'u'llah and that spirit of dedication and sacrifice, right? So this, and anyone that will get up off their, as they say, their couches of heedlessness, their couches of slothfulness, and get up and move, the beloved guardian's heart would jump. He would be supremely happy. So he wrote letters of encouragement to those pioneers to go forth and teach the cause. And in these paragraphs, in these extracts from Baha'u'llah and Abdu'l-Baha, specifically on going forth and teaching the cause. So here we are, dear friends. This is from Baha'u'llah in the Gleanings. And it says, when intending to pioneer to virgin territories, you should. And my dear friend, Miss Yuda Miller will read this one for us. You should do what?
When intending to pioneer the virgin territories, you should place your whole trust in God. Move to virgin territories and conquer the citadel's man's heart through the host of revelation and of utterance. The complete quote is, dispute not with anyone concerning the things of this world and its affairs, for God has abandoned them to such as have set their affections upon them. Out of the whole world he has chosen for himself the hearts of men, hearts which the hosts of revelation and of utterance can subdue.
Beautiful, Miss Yuda. And on the right, could you read that one too?
Trust in the Lord with all your heart.
Excellent.
Proverbs.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. So there we are, dear friends. Place your whole trust in God. Your whole trust in God. Do we do this all the time? This is something that the first thing, when we go forth and teach, we have to do this. Place your whole trust in Him. And then go forth and do what? So this is obviously talking about the pioneers, but this is in reference to all aspects of teaching. So first, we place our whole trust in Him. And obviously, we talked about first and foremost teaching yourself, and we're going to reference all of that too. But we're going forth to do what? Conquer the citadels of men's hearts. Wow. We're not conquering their brains. We're conquering their hearts. So what we need to do is have heart-to-heart conversations. That's how you conquer someone's heart. And remember, so how do you conquer someone's heart? And it's interesting here, Baha'u'llah and the beloved guardian referencing is talking about a citadel. What is a citadel? It's like a fortress. It's a castle even, right? And it's got walls and encampments, and it's probably got a moat and maybe some alligators swimming in the moat. right? And it's got a drawbridge and all the fancy stuff. So if that's the case, if it's a true citadel, how do we conquer it? You have to be an army, right? You have to prepare yourself. You have to have armor. You have to go forth into the battle and have all the armor and protection and weapons, right? The beloved guardian says we've got to have weapons to go into the battle, right? And what were those weapons? Rectitude of conduct, chaste and holy life, and freedom from racial prejudices. And why are these beloved guardians saying those are your weapons? Because those are heart-conquering weapons. Heart-conquering weapons. And the reason why they're heart-conquering weapons is because if someone is rectitude of conduct, he is walking the talk. He is walking the talk. He is honest. He is truthful. He is justice. He is reliability. He is purity. He is what? All those qualities are transformation of the heart. So the other person looking at him, he says, yeah, that person actually he's walking the talk. He actually himself has been transformed. So that hardness of the other person's heart starts chipping away. Their fortress, their citadel starts saying, oh yeah, that may start making sense to me. So then now that's the first part. Then all your intellectual knowledge and gain now can be opened through the utterance. And those are called the cannonballs. Then you can start unleashing them, but gently and lovingly, so it will permeate and penetrate their hearts. So then their heart gets touched with the love of God. You follow? So once that love of Baha'u'llah gets translated to them, their heart gets touched. So this is conquering the citadels of men's hearts. This is what teaching the cause of God is. It is the most beautiful of all processes, is to teach the cause. Okay?
Conquering is to be much more, is about the deep consultation on the human nature.
One more time, my dear Tesfaye. One more time, please.
Because the way I see that you talk is conquering the heart of man is to be more is deep in consultation of human nature, which is a very hard one.
That's right.
It's not an easy thing. When we are talking, it's easy, but in action is very hard.
Oh, no one said any of this is easy. None of this is rectitude of conduct. Come on. Chaste and holy life, freedom from racial prejudices. All of this takes action. It's all work. The entire faith is work. And then consultation of all things. I don't know how many people have served on the institutions or committees to be able to consult with others. It's not easy at times. And we even see it in our families when we have to consult with each other.
Yeah, but to start from us, from the very beginning.
Right? But then to teach the cause is also, it is the most supreme duty. It's the greatest duty, but it's also the one requiring the most preparation. We have to prepare for it because this is truly the one which the faith stands on, because in the sense of when you're promoting his name. So if you so you want it to the utterance and for that to be as close to the divine word as possible. So that's what about preparation it is. Any questions at this time or thoughts, suggestions? Excellent. Okay. So this is from the New Testament. It's from the book of Corinthians. It says, be on guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong, and do everything with love. So very important. So this is also in the aspect of teaching the cause. What should we be on guard of? All those forces, right? The forces of darkness. We should stand firm in our faith and be courageous. How many times has the beloved guardian said, be courageous? And what are we being courageous of? Not only being a Baha'i should be courageous in all aspects. And courage comes in reference already, comes twice. Paragraph 52 and 58, the beloved guardian references courage in the example of the beloved master. So we should be courageous following his example. But this is in the and both references are in reference to racial justice, the example of Abdul Baha's example of how he was a courageous individual. Be strong. And how many times has the beloved guardian say we should be immovable as mountains, firm in our faith, be strong, and do everything with love. And this is, you can see how one voice, one speak, one faith of God. And you see how this quote mirrors exactly the words of Baha'u'llah. When intending to pioneer to virgin territories. So if you're going forth to teach, what is the prescription? The prescription says, not linger until others have completed the first stage of the teaching campaign. Rather, immediately arise to open what will be the most glorious chapter in the American Baha'i community international history. Means don't linger, dear friends. Don't linger. We shouldn't just wait for others. Go forth, arise, do it. So this is what the prescription is. And when intending to pioneer to virgin territories, this is from the gleanings from the writings of Baha'u'llah. This is what I said. Page 277. So this is an extract that is always good to remember. It says, teach your own selves at the outset so that your speech can influence the hearts of those who teach. And Baha'u'llah states, whoso ariseth among you to teach of his Lord, let him before all else teach his own self, that his speech may attract the hearts of them that hear him. So first and foremost, teach himself, teach his own self, that his speech may attract the hearts of them that hear him. And then Baha'u'llah goes on, this is very important. He says, unless he teacheth his own self, the words of his mouth will not influence the heart of the seeker. So in that analogy, remember, we're talking about the citadels of men's hearts. If we have not taught ourselves, what happens is these cannonballs, which is the words that are emanating from our mouth, will not be powerful enough. They will not have the efficacy. They will not have the force needed to affect the other person's heart. Even though, per se, you may have transformed yourself, your heart may be wonderful, but the words that come out of your mouth, if you have not educated yourself, will not affect the other person. So this is all about preparation. This is from Baha'u'llah. I love this extract. So this, let's, Dr. Satibayat, if you're there, please, I could read this one.
Yes. Allah, dear friends.
Allah.
Whoso ariseth among you to teach the cause of his Lord, let him before all else teach his own self, that his speech may attract the hearts of them that hear him. Unless he teacheth his own self, the words of his mouth will not influence the heart of the seeker. Baha'u'llah.
See, such an important extract. So that's why I referenced it here again. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So in paragraph 87, the beloved guardian carries on. And when intending to pioneer to virgin territories, do what? You should regard victories won for the faith as your supreme objective. So he's now, beloved guardian, saying, what is the most important thing? Victories. That should be your supreme objective. And what is the number one thing in every person should keep in front of their eyes is victories of the plan. Victories of the plan. And what is the plan? It is whatever the House of Justice has sent out, and they have outlined, this is what our plan is, and that should be our goal, and that should be our supreme objective. And that is our supreme objective, but we also have other objectives, which would be our cluster goals. We also have our national goals, right? And if our cluster goal is we should achieve, 50 devotionals in our area, that should be our supreme objective. Unity, we should be marching together, but our ultimate supreme objective is the goal of our supreme universal House of Justice. Follow? So this is, we should keep that always first and foremost in front of us. And how do we do that? We have to read the messages. So we have to know what the House of Justice is prescribing to us. So we need to be very well apprised of what the goals are, right? Excellent. And moving on, paragraph 87. Now let us go to Valerie. Valerie, if you could kindly read this one for us.
Sure. Girding up the loins of endeavor, paragraph 87. When intending to pioneer to virgin territories, you should do not consider the largeness or smallness of the hearer's capacity to receive the grace of God that has poured forth in this age. Baha'u'llah states, the whole duty of man in this day is to attain that share of the flood of grace which God poureth forth for him. Let none therefore consider the largeness or smallness of the receptacle. The portion of some might lie in the palm of a man's hand. The portion of others might fill a cup, and of others even a gallon measure. Leanings, page 8.
Excellent. Very well read, Ms. Valerie. Thank you. So we should not, under any level, when we go forth teaching, try to read the hearer's capacity. We think, no, they can't handle this, so I'm not going to teach them, or judge them on the largeness or smallness of their capacity. This is something that we are instructed not to do. The whole duty of man in this day is to attain that share of the flood of grace. We have no idea what even our own capacities are. What the whole duty is to fill it up as much as we humanly possibly can and keep at it. Because it's quite possible here, Baha'u'llah says, he gives different sizes. He says some might be a handful, and he says some might fill a cup, and some might be a gallon measure, and some might be a size of a pool or even an ocean, right? We don't know our size. But are you doing enough to fill your own? Are you active enough? Are you teaching enough? Are we, working hard enough to acquire these traits, qualities, attributes to fill our own capacity? This is the supreme question. And how do we get those? Remember, we talked about it. How do we get that? And it is through the magnetic force of teaching. So when we are teaching, it is that magnetic force that the confirmations of Baha'u'llah come to us, right? So if you're not teaching, it was pretty powerful quote, you get what? Cut off. Pretty powerful. So you got to be teaching, right? And when you're teaching, the flood of grace comes, and that's what fills our receptacle, whether it is a cup, whether it's a gallon measure, or whether it's a handful, or even mine is a little thimbleful. I actually know mine, it's pretty small. So, but the point is, it's whatever receptacle size that gets filled. You follow? So teaching is the prescription to fill your capacity. So here again, the beloved guardian giving more prescription. And you see how this is very concrete as opposed to being very abstract. Go forth and teach and arise. He's saying very clear what to do. The beloved guardian saying, when intending to pioneer to virgin territories, you got to do this. Free yourselves from the burden of attachment to this world. Oh my God. Every one of these is hard, right? Free yourselves from the burden of attachment to this world and follow the example of Abdul Baha to teach the faith with a spirit of detachment. It's very concrete. Tells you exactly what to do. Easy to do? Not that easy. But it's right there. He's saying straight up, do it. And this is the prescription to go forth and when we need to go teach. Follow the example of the master. And how do we do that? It's very simple. We got to study his life, because if we follow, we have to know what he's did, right? Read his stories, read his life, so that it goes up here. And then when you're in that situation, it can be translated to here so that you will be able to translate it into your own life. Bring it forth, right? So we should constantly be studying the example of the master. So when that situation arises, we have that example before us. Okay? Any thoughts on that?
No thoughts. The only thing is just look at me, follow me, be as I am. That's what he's saying. We are trying to analyze that one.
These 9 words: look at me, follow me, be as I am. Be as I am. That's 4 words. So 10 words. I didn't say I was perfect in mathematics, but okay, 10 words. It is a prescription, dear friends. Yes, it's quite humorous. 10 words. Look at me, follow me, be as I am. It is a prescription of action. And Tom Price gives an incredible talk on what this is. Okay? We have to look toward.
Sorry, Son John, it is 9 words. Look at me. Oh, you're right. Follow me. Sorry, May Jan. I thought it was 9 words. Because I remember Tom Price's talk, and he said it was 9 words, and then I thought that follow me was 3 words in there. I'm never good at math. And I'm not editing this videos to make it look like I'm good at math, but quite humorous. Thank you, May Jan, for correcting me on that. Yep. But the point is, these 9 words is a prescription for action. Look at me means we have to study his example. Look to his example. Reflect on his example. Then follow me. Try to do what he does, right? In the sense of, what did he do?
Be generous in prosperity and thankful in adversity. Be worthy of the trust of neighbor. All of his, and then look to his talks. What did he say? What did he do? What did he? Then the hardest one is be as I am. This is, okay, you're doing the action component, but then the last part is the internalization, right? It's where you're taking the words and bringing it home. It's where you are now a transformed being and you are now magnetized, okay? So what does that mean, Ehsan? I'll explain it really quickly. Let's say Abdul Baha, the perfect exemplar, is the supreme magnet, okay? The supreme magnet, he has the forces of attraction, okay? And we are just this humble little element of iron sitting on a table. And Abdul Baha coming with all his glory and majesty, and he approaches the table, and we're just this tiny little dot, filament of iron. And he approaches us, and what happens as he gets closer? Our entire being starts getting shaking with excitement, and the iron starts moving and fluttering around. But what is happening to us? We are getting excited. We are feeling the forces of attraction, that spiritual energies. And as we approach closer and we align our molecular and polar forces to him, what happens? We become magnetized, right? We become magnetized. Our entire essence becomes recreated. Who was one of the first magnetized creations? Was Badi. His entire self was recreation by Baha'u'llah. That is how he took the tablet to Nasruddin Shah. He became a new creation. He became magnetized by Baha'u'llah. You follow? So the whole purpose in this day is transformation. So we become completely, our poles change direction and changed to Abdul Baha. And in this day, the supreme body, the universal house of justice. You follow? This is the covenant. And so we become magnetized. Our souls, our hearts, our love, our being is polarized to that. Follow? And so then it goes further in this simple analogy I'm sharing with you. Then anyone that comes across that tiny filament that you were a little piece of iron, because you're a new creation, when they come across you, they become magnetized by you. Just like a little paperclip that touches the source, when you take it away from the source, it can also pick up other magnets, other paperclips. You follow? I don't know if you've ever done that little fun experiment, but when you take a paperclip and put it close to a magnet, then you take that paperclip away, then that paperclip can pick up other paperclips. Why? That paperclip has become magnetized and has the same potential capacities of the source. It has absorbed the qualities. It has submitted itself to the will of the greater source and changed its own polarization. You follow? That's just an analogy, but I want you to see in the realm of matter that it has the same characteristics in the spiritual world, that we have to transform ourselves. Okay, moving on, dear friends. God, we have some slides. We got time. We'll finish, hopefully. So the movement itself from place to place, when undertaken for the sake of God, have always exerted and can now exert its influence in the world. So when you move from place to place and it's undertaken for the sake of God, this has influence in the world if you do it for him. You follow? So this is what he says. If you do it for him, this will have influence and power. And this is a cool quote from Abdu'l-Baha. I think they're all cool, but some are just amazing to me. Okay, he says, this is Abdu'l-Baha. He says, you shall in truth become the lighted torches of the globe. How awesome is that? Lighted torches of the globe. Then Abdu'l-Baha says, fear not, neither be dismayed, for your light shall penetrate the densest darkness. This is the promise of God, which I give unto you. Rise and serve the power of God. Woo! Doesn't that sound like a sermon if I've ever heard a sermon? Now you shall in truth become the lighted torches of the globe. And then he says, fear not, neither be dismayed, for your light shall penetrate the densest darkness. Whew. This is the promise of God, which I give unto you. Rise, serve the power of God. What a call to teaching. Isn't that awesome? Love it. So, carrying on, paragraph 87, another prescription from the beloved guardian. He pulls a quote here from Baha'u'llah, gleanings from the writings of Baha'u'llah. And why does the beloved guardian pull so many quotes from gleanings? Anyone on that? Any thoughts?
That's the main principle of the book.
You're right. You're right. Gleanings has many extracts on teaching, but why, of all books, does the beloved guardian pull so many extracts from gleanings? Anyone?
He's gleaned it from other writings, and now he's gleaning it from it himself.
Very good, Dr. Sharifai. He was the one who actually translated it. He was the one that put it together. He was the one that organized it and made it and gleanings from the writings of Baha'u'llah is a compilation itself. So the beloved guardian knows gleanings very well, okay? Obviously, he knew the writings very well, but gleanings, he knew it really well, for sure. And so he's quoting gleanings from the writings of Baha'u'llah, and it's already translated at this point in time in the history. So he's quoting this and says, consider the love of Baha'u'llah as a storehouse of treasure for your soul, to assist you in teaching others, a storehouse of treasure. This is the love of Baha'u'llah. And Baha'u'llah says, beware, O men, lest ye be tempted to part with him in exchange for the gold and silver ye possess. Let his love be a storehouse of treasure for your souls on the day when naught else but him shall profit you, the day when every pillar shall tremble, when the very skins of men shall creep, when all eyes shall stare up with terror.
Wow.
Right? Pretty. And what is this, all this trembling and all this terror? It's called Judgment Day, right? That is, we are living in Judgment Day. It is the day of God we're living in. And if you look at your gleanings, I think it's almost the first 15 extracts. I'm just roughly, I'm not, don't quote me on it, but it's the first, roughly first 15 extracts. The beloved guardian has compiled, and he says, this is the day. This is the day. And what day is it? It's the day of Baha'u'llah, the day of the twin manifestations. It's the day of God, the day that have been foretold in all the scriptures. And this is the day called Judgment Day, when you will be brought forth and you will be judged. If you said, I believe, you will be held accountable. If you say, I believe, you will be held accountable. So this is Judgment Day that we are living in right now. So if you say, I am a Baha'i, put up, show up. Let deeds, not words, be your adorning. We are living in Judgment Day every single moment. And that is the aspect. He says, beware, O man, lest ye be tempted to part with him for exchange for gold and silver. Gold and silver here is analogy not to literal gold and silver, but it means material things of this world. So he says, don't let the material things of this world distract you from what? The supreme treasure. The supreme treasure is him, Baha'u'llah. So he says, don't let the things of the transient, the ephemeral things of this world distract you from him, the supreme treasure, right? So let's carry on. Baha'u'llah says, set your soul aglow with the flame of an undying fire in a way that all the waters of the earth cannot cool your soul. Oh, I love this quote. So set your soul aglow with the flame of an undying fire in a way that all the waters of the earth cannot cool your soul. There are a number of references to undying fire in the writings of Baha'u'llah as the most great spirit and the source of the revelation. And if you guys persevere through the Advent of Divine Justice course, and if you persevere, we have another course on the dispensation of Baha'u'llah. This is one of the world order letters. And in that course, the beloved guardian talks about this undying fire, right? And where do we hear this reference? It's called the burning bush, right? You remember the burning bush? Moses talked about it, this undying fire. And so there is many times it is referenced throughout the writings of Baha'u'llah as well as Abdul Baha, and this undying fire. And that is a symbol of the most great spirit, is a reference also to God. And it's also, so this is this undying fire. And that should burn, that's your soul aglow with this flame of this undying fire. The flame of God should burn within us. You follow? God, in that sense, not that we're manifestations, but the fire coming from that source should penetrate. The heat and the flame should penetrate within us. The excitement, the act, and why I love the analogy of fire so much. And I did a compilation on fire in early on, I think in year 2000. And why I did that is because it is referenced so many times in the writings, is fire. And fire is this analogy not only of cleansing, because when fire is a cleansing force, but it is also it also gives heat, it also gives light. So if that's why it's referenced so many times in the writings. But in this sense, the fire is talking about the intensity. And so also, so when the atoms and the molecules have the fire, they reverberate, they excite, and their molecules become more intense. And they are energized. And they become so energized, they are aglow. You follow? So this is how, as Baha'is, we should be. And in all aspects of our lives, we should be energized with the love of Baha'u'llah.
Son, I think Baha'u'llah always refers to the nature, because the word of God is very hard for human being to understand. So always he has to go to the nature and then try to explain for us, like fire, gold, and then atoms and everything. Most of the time when we see the writings, it is that what I understand.
I don't know, dear Tesfai, if the word of God is hard to understand, but you're absolutely right in the sense that it is referenced in many different ways to natural type of things, as such as nature, to help individuals
Yeah,
understand.
because they are in parables every time. If you see the writings, always in parables.
That's right.
The dictionary meaning is only the literal meaning. So the rest of them, you have to meditate and find out yourself when your inner vision is to be in higher levels.
That's right. That's right. In the former dispensations, from Christian to Islam and all the former dispensations, they used analogies of the natural realms, from using water and fire and earth and all different minerals and as examples. And when the hardness of the heart, the rock, and the purity of, giving examples of water, and the cleansing fire of, the fire of the love of God. All of these are symbology because these are not only to help us understand these spiritual concepts, because remember, the spiritual concepts are abstract. How can you talk about soul, So you have to use elements from the natural world so that to help us understand something that is spiritual, something that is abstract. That is why we've all read the extract in Ruhi Book 1 about the soul and in the womb of the matrix. That, so that is an analogy referencing the preparation of the soul in this life going into the next life, and just like it's in the baby is in preparing itself in this little womb, in preparing itself for this world. So this is just an analogy that is given to us, but these are all examples to help us understand the spiritual world. Excellent reference, dear Tesfai. Thank you so much. And this again is referenced. This is the second time the beloved guardian pulls this quote from Paula. So he says, when intending to pioneer to the virgin territories, you should do what? Be unrestrained as the wind. Unrestrained as the wind, and be not affected either by the signs of destruction or prosperity. So not be affected by the chances and changings of the world, but go forth. And do what? We should unloose our tongues and proclaim the Great Spirit, and proclaim what the Great Spirit inspires you. So remember the very first thing that he says, we should have reliance on who? On him, right? So first we should have reliance on him. And through all that preparation, first studying, deepening ourselves, preparing our tongue, and obviously we prepared our character and everything, then unloose your tongues. It means literally, like sometimes I think about, because I live in Texas of all states, I think of, them literally opening the gate and the bull rushes forth. Unloose the tongues. It's just open it and let it be unleashed. Unloose your tongues and proclaim what the Great Spirit inspires you. So now the inspiration coming forth, but unloose it, let it go forth. But also, how many times does he give the prescription on what should come out of our mouths? Beware, beware. We're talking about kindly tongue. How, and also not that our tongues burden any hearts. So these are prescriptions. So sure, we should open our mouth, let the utterance flow, but also be very cognizant and aware of also what comes out. May they arise to serve thee and dedicate themselves to the kingdom of thy divinity, and set their faces toward the realm of thy self-subsistence, and spread far and wide thy signs, and be illumined by thy streaming lights, and unfold thy hidden mysteries. Isn't that awesome? What a great quote. Arise to serve thee, dedicate themselves to the kingdom of thy divinity, set their faces toward the realm of thy self-subsistence, and spread far and wide thy signs, be illumined by the streaming lights, and unfold thy hidden mysteries. Are we illumined? Are you lights? This is what Baha'u'llah, what Abdul-Baha is calling us to be. Or are we so covered in the dust of this world that our light is obscured? That's what the whole Advent of Divine Justice up to this point is about cleansing of ourselves. So then the light will go forth. This is what we are, lights. Remember, Baha'u'llah came from Nur. He was a light. And we as a Baha'i is a follower of the light. So we should be lights. And for a light to go forth, we have to cleanse ourselves. We have to cleanse the mirror of our hearts, prepare ourselves so that we could reflect his message. Follow? So that is very simple, but also hard to do. It's a simple, to do, simple prescription, but hard to implement. When intending to pioneer to virgin territories, you should teach with enthusiasm, conviction, wisdom, courtesy, but without pressing the hearer. Enthusiasm, conviction, wisdom, courtesy, but not pressing the hearer. That is the last part, so important, because we should not overbear. We should not, as Baha'is, we are forbidden to proselytize. But the commandment from Baha'u'llah, Kitab Akhtas, is to teach, but we are forbidden to proselytize. So we should be forbidden in this sense to press the hearer. So, and this is again from Baha'u'llah on the right. It says, whoso is endued with courtesy hath indeed attained a sublime station. So when we go teach, courtesy. There's a wonderful method that Abdul-Baha taught. And he said, this is when he came to United States, and I'll send this three-step, it's a 3 steps to teaching, and I'll send it to the class. And at the last line, he says very funnily and truthfully, he says that we should take care of the material form of who we are teaching to. For example, if that person is hungry, we should take care of them first, per se, before we even open our. So if they are hungry, we should make sure that they are fed before we teach them the cause. It's very important, right? So we have to care. And this is all in the aspect of courtesy. Courtesy. And this is the love that we should have for their souls. Because we tend to their physical being. Because if they're hungry, their mind is not also even focused on what is going to come from your mouth. Their mind will be on food. They're hungry. So Baha'u'llah says, Abdul-Baha says, take care of their physical needs first. See the wisdom in this is so brilliant. And so important. Teach the cause for the sake of God and accept without argument the response you receive from the hearer. I remember I share these are funny moments I have sometimes with my daughter. She was my oldest one. I share this because, it's insights for you. She was like, Daddy. I was like, yes, Ella. She was like, Daddy, I taught the faith. I hope Baha'u'llah is keeping a good record of all these times that I'm teaching the faith. because when I go, I hope that he's got all the moments that I've taught the faith, so that I get lots of good points up there. And I was like, Ella, we're not supposed to teach the cause to get these kind of points, we're not doing it to get the points from Baha'u'llah. And so she's 6 years old. It's hard to explain some of these concepts to her. So but the point of it is, all of my class and all of who's listening, we're understanding this. We're teaching for the love of him. It is for love. It is not for the sake of reward. We're not trying to get points from Baha'u'llah. Like, I hope you're tracking my points. On Tuesday, I went teaching at 3:05. Did you get that one? I hope you got that one, because it was a really great teaching moment. And I really think I touched that person. So that one counts. But don't forget all the other bad times. I wasn't a good person, but I hope you caught the teaching moment. So that's not how it works. We're not doing it for the benefits. We're doing it because we love him. It's for the love. And there's so many cool analogies. And in next part, I'm also going to share more of this analogy. The aspect of courage and fearlessness is often compared to the lion. The lion. And many of the great heroes, and especially heroines, were compared to lions. And we're going to see this in the next part. And so this is from the book of Amos. It's in the Gospels. It says, the lion has roared. So who isn't frightened? The sovereign Lord has spoken. So who can refuse to proclaim his message? Wow. And who is that lion? In this day and age, it's Baha'u'llah. He has roared. So who can refuse to proclaim his message? Wow. And when you are called and summoned at that time of summoning, he will ask you very clear, did you proclaim my message? Now, that's something that if anything should shake us to our bones, because that is something that we will all be called to. Now, when intending to pioneer, remember, all of this is about teaching the cause. So might not be pioneering ourselves, but we should all be teaching. And when intending to pioneer to these virgin territories, it says, do not forget for a moment that faithful spirit will strengthen you, and a company of Baha'u'llah's angels will accompany you. In the context in which a faithful spirit is used, it may refer to the Holy Spirit or the Most Great Spirit. I find that so comforting. It's because you, not for a moment, not for an inkling. And there's a unit of time called a jiffy. It's 100th of a second, not even for a jiffy, are left alone. If you go forth and have that reliance on him, Baha'u'llah assures us that you will be strengthened by a company of his angels, and that faithful spirit, the Most Great Spirit, will come to your aid. It is incredible. And and as we all know, and as ye have faith, so shall your powers and blessings be. Right? This is the balance. This is the balance. This is the balance. This, so as ye have faith. But this is from the book of Thessalonians. But the Lord is faithful, and he will strengthen you and guard you from the evil one. You see, one tongue, one voice. Baha'u'llah is faithful. He shall strengthen you, guard you. This is one tongue, one voice. All right, and moving on, dear friends. I hope you're enjoying this. This is awesome for me and also to present this to you. So we're roughly 10 minutes left in our class, and this is just paragraph 87. You see how many points the beloved guardian is hitting home in this one paragraph? So again, paragraph 87, when intending to pioneer to virgin territories, you should what? Keep in mind the greatness of the blessing that is awaiting for you, and that the service you render is the prince of all goodly deeds and the ornament of every goodly act. So you should know and remember what you're doing will have rewards, but we're not doing it for the rewards. You follow? We're not doing it for the rewards, but we should also keep in mind that the greatness and blessing that is awaiting for you is following his ordinances, following his prescription. For example, when you follow the prescription of your doctor, you know it will be good for you, right? You will have health. The doctor gives you a prescription so that you have health. So you keep in mind that, the doctor has given this prescription to have health. The prescription might not be easy. It might be nasty and icky medicine, and it'll be like, ugh. It might not be easy. And actually, the prescription might be take it 3 times a day, every day for a long period of time. So it actually might not be the easiest of prescriptions. And actually, as we're seeing in Advent to Divine Justice, there is prescription here. There's rectitude of conduct and chaste and holy life, and there's freedom from racial prejudices, and then there's all aspects of study and deepening and utterance and teaching. All of this is the prescription, right? But at the end of it, at the end of all of this prescription is what? Is health, spiritual health for you. Because this whole cause of God, remember this, dear friends, this whole cause of God is for you. It is a gift to you. Everything is for you. And this entire book, Kitab Aqdas, the entire laws and ordinances, this entire revelation is for you as a transformation. Teaching is about transformation of you. And through the transformation of you, you will affect society at large. First, you will affect yourself, you will affect your family, you will affect your community, and you will affect society. You follow? So this entire faith is for you. It's a very personal faith. That's why the beauty of it. So and there we are, dear friends. We just finished paragraph 87. That was quite a paragraph outlining one after another the concrete steps to go into the aspects of teaching and pioneering in the Virgin Territories. Now we're going to get into paragraph 88. And this is a really cool paragraph. In paragraph 88, the beloved guardian cites excerpts from a tablet from His Holiness Baha'u'llah, in which he counsels those who travel to teach his cause. And here are just some key points, major points in this tablet. The revelation of Baha'u'llah is an ocean, a dewdrop of which is sufficient to enrich the whole earth. One drop out of this whole ocean is sufficient to spiritually enrich the whole earth with the bounty of God. And teachers should draw forth this water of this ocean and sprinkle it on all created things to purify them from artificial restrictions. So we should pull in that water into ourselves and be like the fountain and sprinkle it on all who we come across. You follow? Isn't that cool? What an awesome analogy Baha'u'llah and the Beloved Guardian uses here in paragraph 88. Paragraph 88, we're getting close to our time. We're at 5 minutes till. I think this will be our last slide. So then we can have some questions or comments. In paragraph 88, the Beloved Guardian cites more excerpts from a tablet from His Holiness Baha'u'llah, in which he counsels those who travel to teach his cause. And here are just some of the major points in this tablet. He says, teachers should not be grieved if they feel alone, since God is with them. So this is another obstacle. Remember, obstacle. I'm sad. I'm all alone. I cannot do it all by myself. So here Baha'u'llah says, do not feel you're alone. Not even for a second. They should not be grieved if they feel alone, since God is with them. They should proclaim his cause. And if anyone responds, they should present the faith to him. But if anyone rejects it, they should leave him be. And it's very beautiful how Baha'u'llah says it. Leave him be and pray for him. It's like you're offering a gift. And Martha Root, the great ambassadress of the faith, teacher of the faith, itinerant teacher of the faith, she explains that teaching the cause is you are offering the greatest gift to another soul. The greatest gift. So how do you do it? It is the attitude of love and the attitude of sharing, the attitude of caring. So you have to make sure that the situation is right to present that gift, you know? You create the situation. You make sure that the situation is right, because you cannot just, there's a parable. Do not throw pearls to the swine, right? So the situation has to be right for the presentation of the greatest gift, namely presentation of the cause to another heart. Because if the time is not right, the hearer will not be prepared for the message, right? So you have to be understanding of when that time is right. And as we read earlier, we should not be trying to read their capacity. I don't think they're ready in the sense of they cannot handle the message or whatever. But sometimes the situation isn't right. You follow? So that is something we could talk further on. But as for tonight, dear friends, we did so well. I know we didn't finish part 20 tonight, but next week we'll for sure finish it. And we'll close there. And I hope you guys enjoyed some of these slides going through, especially we finished up paragraph 87, covering all of those points of concrete, do this in the sense of go forth and teaching. But I will zip it up and let's hear from you guys. Any thoughts and comments and from you guys at this time? Go for it, anyone.
I wanted to mention on the slide where it showed the van traveling and it says how that has an impact. And I was thinking, well, I'm not driving anywhere anymore to do things, but doing the Zoom. And I was thinking, gosh, I wonder how much the impact has changed or what the proportion is now, because it seems like there's so much more area covered now because of COVID and doing Zoom and things like that. But it really struck me when I saw that slide and I saw the physical traveling.
Sure. Yeah, excellent point, dear Valerie. Yeah, because remember, this is the Beloved Guardian here is at this point in time is calling forth individuals to physically arise and go to these virgin territories and pioneer. In this day and age, the call is for teaching at home, teaching to our friends and family, our neighbors, our coworkers, to anyone that we come across in our vicinity. And if we are in clusters that are calling for home from pioneering and these things, we see if we are physically, situationally, can bring these into our realities and make these a possibility. And so we have to see how we can align our situations to make them happen. But yeah, that was also a picture that struck me too, because we don't see too many examples of travel teachers or teachers on the move. And especially obviously during COVID, we think about that's a COVID vehicle going around the country. So we don't see examples of that in such anymore. But these are our common spaces now. We see each other on Zooms. But we have to think about all of our spaces. How can we teach? How can we be promoters of the oneness of humanity? How can we be promoters of racial justice? How can we be promoters of the oneness and love of Baha'u'llah? In every space. So this is something that, whether it's a Zoom space, whether it's our social space, whether it's our family space, whether it's, because this should be common speak, because we love him. We love him. And it should be here. It should be real. And so then you start, and I end on this point, because this is very important, because this talks about what this new race of men is. New race of men comes up twice in Advent of Divine Justice, paragraph 28 and 48. First time it comes up is in reference to rectitude of conduct. Second time it comes up is in paragraph 48, in reference to a chaste and holy life. Okay? And why I bring this up is because as Baha'is, we are called to reorder our life. Reorder our life to these prerequisites. To reorder our life to do teaching work. And these prerequisites, namely rectitude of conduct, chaste and holy life, and freedom from racial prejudices, should be our order of life. So if this is not our order of life, then we're not on the right path. That's why the document that just came out from our dear National Spiritual Assembly is called Forging a Path to Racial Justice. Because why is it called that? Because we have to reorder our life to be on that path, right? And this path is the path of being a Baha'i. It's very simple. It's very simple. The concept is simple, but the implementation of it is the hard part. The implementation is a lifelong journey. And that is what takes the supreme effort. That's what takes the tremendous effort. And that's what takes the concerted effort. You follow? So this is what is the action component that is required of each and every single one of us to reorder our life, so that the watchword of this day and age is freedom from racial prejudices should be in every one of our spaces. And this rectitude of conduct should be the hallmark of our character. And this chaste and holy life should be our crown. So it should define us. And this should be who we are in every single space. You follow? So when we enter into any space, the conversations should be on these topics. And this is how, I digressed. I apologize, but I share my last thought is in this day and age, how would someone know you are a Baha'i? Is by also your utterance. So if your utterance is on the oneness of humanity in this day and age and bringing up and tying it to social issues that are prevalent in society and tying it to the solution in this day and age, they will say, wow, that is very novel. Where did that come from? And you say, boom, that's from Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah, he has prescribed it in this day and age as the oneness of humanity. You don't have to say the boom part, but it was for emphasis. But you could say, this is from Baha'u'llah, right? But that love comes and gets transcended, and that courage and that conviction and that love and that energy, and tying it to the source. Because remember, dear friends, we should be anxiously concerned with the needs and exigencies of our time and age in which we live in. So we should be very knowledgeable about all the social problems and the social ills and all the problems. But we should also be aware of the solutions. And when we teach, we tie the solution to the problem. And when we teach, we say, this is the problem and this is the solution. And the solution is coming from Baha'u'llah. And when we do that, then the person says, oh, that makes sense, because that solution is the prescription for this day and age. That is it. Very clear. And this is how Abdul Baha taught. He explained very simply the problems of the day and age. Then he tied it to the solution for the day and age, the remedy, whether it was the social ills of inequity to women. He said, these are the problems of inequity and injustices to women. And in this day and age, Baha'u'llah has prescribed equality of the sexes. Right there. Boom. Yeah. And then, or if it was the problem of inequity and injustice to African Americans in this country, he would say, this is the problem, and this is this. And then he said, this is the in this day and age, we are all one. We are all being created from one stock, and God loves us all. We are all one creation. This is oneness of humanity principle. So problem, solution. And we have to be able to tie it to the problem and then present it with love. Follow? This is this aspect of teaching. So we have to understand the problems in the day and we live and present it with the solutions with love. Anyway, dear friends, I talked too much, but that was coming from my heart. So I wanted to share that last aspect with you. And so this Sunday, I'm giving a talk on the beauty of the human family. So it's to the North Virginia community. So this is showing how we are all one, and we should embrace this, but not in the sense of when Baha'u'llah says we are all one, we only see no colors or no divisions, but we see the beauty of the roses. We see the beauty of the colors and the beauty of the diversity. And this is coming from the extracts from Baha'u'llah, the beloved master, and His Holiness the Guardian, and going into that. But dear friends, we are well over our time, 8 minutes. Dear Yuda, you have a hand, please.
Do you have a Zoom meeting on that talk?
I will send you the link, dear Yuda, to the whole class. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I will send it to everyone. That is this Sunday. And without any further ado, I think that is everything will be doing. So let us have a closing prayer, and then I could say good night and till next week. And it's been always such a pleasure seeing your faces and hearing your thoughts and being with you this evening. Thank you. Anyone would like to share a prayer? And Riaz John, I don't know how you're always captivated by the moon. It's very nice to see But
it's a universally recognizable place.
right? There was a joke. I share this last thing. There was a person who was always under the moon, and then they would say this person is a lunatic because from Luna, because he was always underneath the moon. Anyway, dear, thank you. Good to see you, Riaz John. So let us have a closing prayer. Anyone who would like to share, please have a wonderful night.
Say, God sufficeth all things, above all things. Nothing in the heavens or the earth but God sufficeth. Verily, he is in himself the knower, the sustainer, the omnipotent, the Bob.
Thank you so much, dear friends. And I can't wait to present dispensation, because in that course, you really get to understand who the Bob is, the station of the Bob. It's so awesome. So have a wonderful evening, dear friends, and wishing you all the best. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Be safe.
Bye. Good night.
Be safe. Be safe. All right.